What they found in Matt Armstrong's locked garage at 2 a.m. left his father speechless. The 32-year-old had been concealing what was worth more than his house, something that had set him back 7 years of savings, and what security cameras recorded that evening could ruin him. But here's what nobody knows. Somebody else came, and what they did for the next 47 minutes made all the difference. This is Matt Armstrong, from Leicester, United Kingdom, the man who gambled his mortgage deposit on a wrecked Bentley and won. Jump ahead 7 years, and the now 32-year-old boasts 5.7 million subscribers, a record of bringing back to life £700,000 write-off supercars, and crowned as Britain's fastest-growing automotive YouTuber. It's June 11th, 1993 in Leicester, England, when Matt Armstrong came into the world with no idea that he'd one day be world famous for turning insurance write-offs into YouTube gold. His old man, Tony Armstrong, helped him work the fundamentals of tearing apart motors and bolting them back together. Lessons that meant little to young Matt, who was far more concerned with sticking BMX tricks than carburetors. And those lessons always stuck around, lurking in the background until Matt needed them most. It's the 7th of April 2013, and Matt has just opened his YouTube channel, uploading BMX stunt videos for fellow enthusiasts and trying to win sponsorship for what will become a professional career. The BMX World Championships qualification heat that day flipped the switch between best case and worst case scenario. Julian was stuck with a dislocated shoulder that wouldn't stay in its socket after seeing oversized brown shoes take a 720 tail whip to the face and do the Matty Banksy. But qualifying in 16th place was meaningless when he couldn't race, and the real nightmare began when his shoulder started popping out of its joint while he was asleep, sometimes 3 times a night. The pain was intense, the instability continuous. BMX was over before it even began. Snatched away from him with a single failed trick that took less than 3 seconds to shatter everything he'd been working toward. Matt's backup plan became Tony's mechanical lessons, the thing that could pay bills while he figured out what was next. Motor tuning jobs, food delivery gigs, anything that could keep money coming while he fiberglassed and lacquered cars in any spare moment. His first car was a 1993 Ford Fiesta Mark III, nothing special, but was his. During this stretch, his YouTube channel lay dormant with the occasional upload that no one really watched. The whole dynamic changed when Matt's girlfriend wrecked her Audi TT coming home from work one night. The insurance company totaled it, and Matt saw, what no one else could, potential lurking under a tangle of bent metal and crushed plastic. He bought the Salvage TT for £600, picked up his GoPro, and began filming the process of repairing it with no plan other than to document what he was doing. His small audience rallied around the project in ways he never expected. Viewers helped him locate parts and offered tips, transforming what might have otherwise been a solitary garage project into something collaborative, even constructive, an experience that felt like community. This Audi TT would become his template for everything that came after, the blueprint that ultimately laid the foundation for an empire. Monetization had yet to be activated, so the videos came when Matt had spare time between his real jobs, haphazard and raw, but authentic in ways scripted content couldn't touch. When the money started coming in from YouTube, everything clicked, and he committed to a proper upload schedule, treating the channel like it was worth something instead of like a hobby that could maybe go somewhere one day. Then COVID-19 hit in 2020, and Graham Good Motors put Matt on furlough with no idea of returning, leaving him home stuck with savings he had sabered off for a house deposit. House prices were jumping all over the place, and Matt just couldn't stop wondering about his YouTube channel, as in what's possible if he really tried. So he made a decision that his friends may have thought was madness, one that gave them sleepless nights worrying about his future. Rather than invest in property, he blew 10 grand on a knackered Bentley Continental GT and went all in making content that people would actually want to watch. The Bentley restoration blew up like nothing he'd anticipated. Upon execution, millions of views poured in alongside his first big sponsorship deal, and when Graham Good Motors called 5 weeks later, asking him to come back, Matt's earnings on YouTube had already surpassed his regular paycheck enough that going back felt like a step backward. By the end of 2019, he'd quit the day jobs altogether, bought himself a Mercedes-Benz MGA 45 to celebrate, and drove his rebuilt Bentley all the way to Monaco. Because why not? Because he earned the right to take chances that once felt impossible. Matt wrote a sentence in his book that changed the course of everything without even trying to. Richard Hammond. Matt's subscriber numbers weren't hitting refresh since they were getting the Adam Corolla, with which to drive cars treatment. The Grand Tour/Top Gear legend himself had responded to Matt's E46 M3 rebuild on Drive Tribe. Hammond's endorsement provided an instantly recognizable level of credibility that no amount of good content would have gained on its own, and gave Matt an audience he had never reached before. Viewers at the other end who believed in Hammond enough to take a punt on this Leicester mechanic working from his garage. He had 1.79 million subscribers in September 2023. January 2024 moved him to 2.27 million. By late 2024, he was approaching 3.6 million, and by January 2026, he'd hit 5.71 million, his record at that time, which showed no signs of slowing down, with each milestone reached more quickly than the last. As his confidence and budget grew, so too did the projects. A Porsche 718 Cayman S that had cost £18,500 in awful condition underwent 3 months of work before it could legally hit the road. The Porsche 911 GT3 that Matt met at him, $160,000. This paint to sample spec beauty had just 2,000 miles on it before somebody left the pub and sideswiped the thing into Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated, erasing its clean existence in a matter of careless seconds. Aston Martin's V8 Vantage came calling for $54,000 when similar ones commanded over $174,000. A BMW M5 competition cost him £40,000 to buy and a further $10,000 in fixes, while Lamborghini Murcielago drained £100,000 from his accounts. Matt purchased a flood-damaged Aston Martin DBX in 2025 to rebuild for his father Tony. That very video did more than 6 million views itself, and who among us doesn't want to watch a son surprise his father with a dream car restored? The kind of gesture you can buy for money, but makes sense through love. The Rolls Royce project that most people will remember was Marcus Rashford's, the build that transcended Automotive and reached a far more mainstream audience. The Manchester United forward crashed his Mansory modified Rolls Royce Wraith Black badge on September 2023. Soon after leaving training with the team after a 1-0 victory over Burnley. The flash smash into a 74-year-old woman's car and subsequent kiss with a lamppost left no one hurt, but completely obliterated the Rolls, whose odometer read just over 1,000 miles, which had cost Rashford somewhere between £700,000 and £750,000 to possess. It was early 2024 when the auction went, and Matt came out with a winning bid of $184,000. Thinking he got the deal of his lifetime until the car showed up and didn't want to start despite being run and driven. Rashford's team had spotted Matt struggling online and contacted him with the secret theft protection code that was keeping the engine dead, a small but significant gesture that made all the difference in that moment. But fixing that problem only exposed how deep the money pit really was, how far from completion this project remained. Walmart price tags are not included with Mansory pieces. Separate floor mats were $4,000 apiece, and estimates for line repair to the exhaust system reached €2,900, $3,174. While had Matt been stupid enough to purchase the fake exhaust tips, including their bonded rear bumper and diffuser assembly, he would have paid £9,400, around $12,600. So maybe buying a second Rolls as an entire donor car for £90,000 made more fiscal headway than sourcing parts individually, which should tell you everything about how expensive the bits are from this company and how crazy the luxury auto world gets at this level. Just for the blue interior components, seats and carpets and lights of it all, they ran £35,000. Mansory also charged $65,389, a bunch more for working on the interior, and having to hang new parts all over the car meant 4 corners of the air suspension sat at different heights due to some coding nightmare, where electronics simply could not handle how many new parts Matt had hung. Tony Armstrong took days to reroute the wiring for the left door. Matt and his team literally banged on the boot with a hammer. When it would not lock, properly problems resolved through sheer determination and improvisation when factory specs were yawningly inadequate. Matt thought he was finally done 6 months into this project. Kourosh Mansory had other ideas. Matt's completed job was discovered on the internet by the company's founder, who invited him personally to drive the Rolls Royce from Matt's home in France to Mansory's headquarters and brand, Germany, a trek that Matt clearly transformed an epic road trip via Spain, where he tracked at Quito de Navarra, Monaco, where she picked up a dented fender, tent camping atop rooftop tents across Switzerland. Matt eventually made his way to Germany, where Courage Mansory took one look at the restoration and immediately started pointing out everything that was wrong with it. Missing emblems, incorrect coach line decals, misaligned body panels, and worst of all, no proper Mansory wheels because the originals had been wrecked in the crash. Courage kept the car overnight to repair what Matt had spent 6 months building, a humbling experience that taught Matt just how much perfection comes with a price tag in this world. On collection day, the change was obvious. All the small faults rectified, 10 grand worth of original Mansory wheels fitted, all the right badges affixed and perfect panel gaps, made it look like it had rolled straight out of a factory rather than having been assembled in a garage in Leicester. Matt had somewhere between 324,000 and 468,000 pounds in the car, depending on what cost you care to match up. But even after factoring in Mansory's offer for thing, Matt just couldn't let go of something with such a history from family and friends during the build process and trip down memory lane. Memories worth more than any bottom line. 2025 was Matt's most ambitious gamble yet, the sort of project that made even his biggest fans wonder about his sanity. Just days before announcing the winner of Donnie's giveaway, TikToker Johnny crashed their Lamborghini Revuelto, world's first wrecked one on sale. The winner still ended up with the crashed Revuelto, and Matt became the sole person with a reason to restore what had started out as an expensive work in progress, paying around $260,000 for a car that would have cost over 700,000 euros when new. Assessing damage was akin to being hit on the wallet over and over. 69,000 for the subframe, 116 in parts from Lamborghini, plus 9,000 to swap brake discs, with carbon fiber pieces that will leave most people penniless after replacement. The V12 hybrid system with its trio of electric motors had itself gone into lockdown mode from safety protocols activated in the crash. So Matt had a car that wouldn't start no matter what he did, and an official letter from Lamborghini saying the rebuild was impossible without going through them with their proprietary tools and software. Matt purchased a replacement battery, ripped into the electronic control unit, battled the safety system, and managed to get the Revuelto to briefly splutter into life before its hybrid electronics fizzed again in an almighty tantrum of salvation taken away at the last moment. The security system was finally unlocked for good on a trip to the Lamborghini factory in Italy, and Matt celebrated by arranging a European road trip to Monaco and Pisa, including a track test at Levant, where rear carbon ceramic brake discs became coke with heat, which goes to show that even fixed supercars require maintenance. His total outlay was nearly 468,000 euros, around 550,000 pounds all in, and by June 2025, Matt had made a realization that startled no one who'd been paying attention. He had no emotional use for the Lamborghini, and yet they were too expensive to drive without fretting, at least too complex to maintain without unending aggravation, and too risky to push hard without something breaking and costing tens of thousands per incident. Carwow bought it for about 486,000 pounds, closer to 570 to 600,000 euros. So Matt likely broke even financially or possibly lost a little money on the car itself, but every penny and more was earned back during the project through YouTube revenue and sponsorships related to content created. Matt's videos run about 50 minutes each, much longer than what YouTube gurus suggest. But his fans hang in there because every car project plays out like a serialized drama with actual stakes and uncertain outcomes. Failure's still possible until the moment when the engine finally fires. In his channel bio, he describes himself as just a regular guy who's winging it, which manages to set the tone exactly. Matt will freely tell you he's not a certified mechanic, and yes, he'll resort to the angle grinder if he gets wedged in a bind, because sometimes brute force is just what the doctor ordered when finessing won't do. Being open about failures and setbacks, and losing money on components that don't work, means viewers trust him rather than wonder what's kept off camera, what's cut out to preserve the mirage of effortless career success. Tony Armstrong, his mechanic dad who gave Matt all his know-how, appears frequently to watch his son tackle projects that seem impossible and lend a hand while sharing laughs over the audacity of it all. You can see the pride in each frame they're in together. And Hannah, Matt's girlfriend who we met on the BMX scene, and who crashed that Audi TT, which set this whole thing in motion, is still there as a fellow YouTuber, the woman who's been around since before the fame, before people started making millions of dollars from YouTube subscribers and six-figure builds. Friends arrive to assist on wreck repairs and coordinate test drives, giving the channel a family vibe that makes 50-minute videos feel like sitting around with people you actually know, folks who help you move your furniture or spring you from jail if necessary. Matt Armstrong MK2 provides him with a second channel to use for other projects. The video on the July 14, 2025 Mercedes AMG GT63 rebuild amasses 2.6 million views and 124,000 likes in just 24 hours, reinforcing that his audience's appetite for content survives beyond what his main channel is capable of delivering. Short-form content is on Matt Armstrong Shorts, and Spanish-speaking audiences get his projects from Matt Armstrong ES in a move that diversifies him across platforms, formats, genres, and languages, building an empire not to be dependent on one single algorithm or audience. Money pours in from all over these days, allowing for the type of financial stability